How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod West.
Hello.
Mod Kieran.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
Mod Wolf.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. We also have our two brand new mods over in the corner, which you'll not get to see until next week. New artist, new marketing manager. We'll leave that until next week. Look forward to that. Today we have something else kind of exciting. We have the Fossil Island sneak peek, so look forward to that. That being said, who wants to run through today's updates?
Well, this week's update brought us the Easter event. That's been done for a while, actually.
Mod John C wrote that one.
Yes.
With graphics by Mod West. And yeah, they finished a while ago because the good thing about Easter is we can tell when it's coming up so we can plan better.
They keep on spamming show them. Well, right now they're reading the chat, judging whether they want to experience
Yeah, that's
this
true,
or not.
actually.
Say enough nice things and maybe they'll show themselves to you.
Yeah, give them nothing but pleasantries.
I mean, their faces.
They're not very good at saying nice things.
We had a lot of
good at saying
graphical
nice.
bug fixes brought in.
They're good at saying nice, yes. Go on.
We did have a lot of graphical bug
Yes,
fixes.
because of our new graphics artist again. He had a lot of stuff to test the waters of our tools and everything, so a lot of those things went through this week. And we also pushed a lot of raids changes. We've been having a lot of questions about raids and stuff surrounding that, and we kind of, we had the time because Easter event was done, and we were like, we can probably do this stuff this week for you guys. So, yeah.
Okay.
Just you.
Fantastic. All right, let's move on to the questions then. Tom says, can we reconsider seasonal Deadman experience transferring over to the tournament? This would make people play the entire season the whole way through.
Would it also mean that if you hadn't been able to spend as long in the season as you wanted, you'd be at a massive disadvantage in the 1 week tournament?
So that's the only point I have. Basically, it means that anybody who wants to commit their month to the season will be 126 with max gear for the tournament, which is great. That's up to them. Currently, we kind of see like low 100s, give or take, a little bit higher. Does that make that much of a difference if somebody wants to only commit a couple of weeks during that 1 month tournament? They still will have the 5 day leading up period, right? So they'll have plenty of time. So I don't think that's that big of a deal, personally.
Yeah, there's also the issue of how we actually manage that technically.
Yeah,
We don't really have a way to do that at the minute, but yeah, I think if people aren't gaining XP fast enough in the tournament or feel like they need to have more XP beforehand, maybe we make the tournament give you faster XP even.
I think one of the problems for the top 2,000 players participating in the final 5 days leading up to the final hour, they have to commit a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so we immediately launch the next season right after that final hour, and they have to commit a lot more time again, and they don't really get much rest. So this would help with that, which is a nice thing to fix.
At the tournament currently, I believe it gives 10 times XP. What if we made it 20 times? Doubled the rate. So you could actually train faster and you don't have to
Dangerous
dedicate as much
XP
time.
rates, I don't know.
We could make it even faster after you've died. Currently we go up to 10 times when you're regaining XP you lost due to death. And people still don't like that they lose XP on death altogether, really. So we could either look at that or make it even faster to get back again to where you used to be.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Something more
Got
to
off the
consider. We have a couple more Deadman questions in here, and we have a meeting sometime probably next week to go through a lot of stuff you guys have sent in, so we'll get there. Next question is from Airalter, who says, any plans for volcanic ash fertilizer for farming?
Volcanic ash.
Can I say?
Extremely fertile volcanic ash.
It's when Modmaz was looking at suggestions for Fossil Island, this one came up quite a lot, and we really liked it. It's needless to say, I think we're definitely going to possibly.
Well, we even talked about this on stage at RuneFest.
Are we
last
definitely
year.
going to possibly?
Yeah, yeah, definitely going to. Okay, yes, we are definitely going to, in the poll for Fossil Island, announce that we will have a next tier of super compost. I believe we are calling it Ultra Compost. There you go.
Blog coming soon.
Wow.
Possibly not at the end of this week after all. We'd hoped to have the blog out this week, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to stick to that. Sorry. But it'll come before the poll opens.
There's your first Fossil Island teaser right there. It's not going to be the last one for this stream.
All right, exciting stuff.
That sounded a lot more exciting than it.
Yeah.
Turns out the farming code was really quite easily adapted for that. Maz had no trouble working with it at all.
So what does Ultra Compost do, Jay?
Ultra Compost
Oh, Mod
using yeah, I don't know.
Revealed.
The volcanic ash that you will get somehow, which I'm not going to tell you, you can combine it with buckets of super compost, or you can use it inside of your don't tell me, compost bins to turn super compost into ultra compost. And similarly to the jump to super compost, where it has a better chance of ensuring that your stuff doesn't die, it also, for things like herbs, means that when you're getting a herb, you'll have an additional one guaranteed using that compost. So it's almost something that people are going to have on all their farm runs. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's really good.
Hype.
Yeah, ultra hype.
A lot of compost in there. Here's another question asking, what are your tap projects at the moment?
Mine's dungeons. I'm designing some dungeons for Zaya.
Dungeoneering?
No, just dungeons, not dungeoneering. The first one is coming out at the end of the month with the Slayer, which is the Chasm of Fire, which is full of demons, and that was originally part of my tap project.
I'm hyped by some of the ones you've made.
It looks
And
really
the
cool.
designs, I like the look of them.
I'm excited to make them.
I've been working, the last thing I did in TAP was working on my DPS-atron 5000 spreadsheet. So I previously had the DPS-atron spreadsheet. So you put in your stats and that sort of thing, and it basically replicates the combat code, puts out some DPS values so we can balance things easily. So I'm upgrading that to be more automated so that we can do this a lot more quickly when it comes to balancing things in future.
Yes.
Bit boring for you guys, but yeah, DPS-atron 5000 makes it sound more exciting.
Yeah. So farming, as I've mentioned before, on one of these, I've been working on rewriting the entire growth code of farming to try and make it less affected by you logging in and out. It's not a very easy thing to do, especially as I had to try and work out how brewing works to make that update as well. I don't want to do that again. Anyway, so I've got quite a lot of code in place, and my next step, next time I get a personal project day, will be to try executing it and see if it crashes, and also see if it actually makes your crops grow at the right speed, the kind of thing that kind of matters, and I'd like to ascertain it myself before I even bother the testers with it. Mod John C has been extremely keen to do the testing of this one himself. We don't know why, but we're not complaining because no one else wants to do it.
Well, I tested geomancy.
Oh, that was a fun one for him. And Mod Rock had the joy of my POH menu for rearranging the rooms and stuff. So, yeah, Mod John C can have this one.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's hope it works when I try executing it and gets through testing fairly smoothly and does lovely things to the game when you get it. That's going to be quite a while away, though, because there's a lot of testing want to be done when you rewrite the entire XP rates part of a skill.
My last tap day was spent doing the quest for you guys. It's already been pulled and is passing quite now with flying colours, which I'm great to see. But before then, I actually stopped about 60% of the way through another quest I was working on that I didn't really announce, but then I ended up announcing it the other day when I was talking about the quest that's coming out. It's a much more chunkier quest. It's like more like a master-sized quest. I'm about halfway through it now. It'll introduce a couple of pretty nice rewards, hopefully, and it continues a series that is already existent in the game. So look forward to that.
Ooh, when will we expect to see that one pulled?
That one is not near done. That's about 60% done. I'm not happy really with its current standing, but I'd say I could possibly have it done by the end of this year, maybe. Kind of. I don't want to dedicate it to a time.
Did you say what series?
Should I?
Why not?
Reveals, mate.
I don't know.
The quest series that this continues on from is the Fremenic series. It's the next in line after Fremenic Isles.
So not Monkey Madness 3.
We'll see what faces we get in the chat after that.
Yeah.
Soulsbane 2, was that?
PogChamps, well done. Okay.
Saved.
I've been working on designing. I've never designed anything really. Raids and a boss encounter to come in that raid. So if we ever do a raids 2 or an expansion or something, maybe we can take some ideas from that.
That was exciting.
Yeah.
I literally, Mod Wolf actually had to redesign a lot of his quests because I made sure the name of it is going to rhyme with Trials and Isles.
Yeah, my entire
It was necessary.
quest. It wasn't even, it was just the start of the quest. It's like, it's about a 40, 50-minute quest I'm expecting it to be. And the first 25 minutes, Kieran was like, I don't like that the quest name doesn't rhyme. Can you change the story? And I'm like, but the problem was, I was like, yeah, I quite like it rhyming, so it's Isles, Trials, and this one.
Piles.
It's not Piles. It is not Feminic Piles.
From Nick Smiles.
From Nick Giles.
Unfortunately, mine isn't so much the case as I can't really explain much of it, because if it did make it to the game, we can't tell you the mechanics.
It's got some really cool mechanics in there.
Imagine
Yeah.
stuff that sounds pretty good. Okay.
I liked it.
Patrick says, can we get a key system for bounty hunter worlds like Dead Man mode? It holds the loot you would otherwise just pick up. You guys know we've asked this a couple of times. We've said I believe we said we liked the idea. We were considering it for the last PvP poll idea, or poll rather, but it's a pretty massive job if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the looting bag that we currently have was not too bad, apart from the bit where it had to tie into the bank, which was quite nasty. I suppose we can build on top of that to make more things that are very similar, and this is quite similar.
Yeah.
So a lot of the hard bit would have been done already. That would help.
Okay. So for those who haven't heard of the idea, essentially when you kill somebody in Bounty Hunter, right now you pick up the few most valuable items and then you head to the bank, maybe leaving 20k worth of stuff on the ground or what have you, right? With this, you would kill somebody and you wouldn't have to pick up their stuff. They'd be immediately in your inventory, like a dead man key, and it would also just hold everything they had in their inventory. So you wouldn't be leaving any sharks for the looters. This would eliminate looting bots entirely, actually. And then eventually you could run back to the bank and cash it in. That's pretty much it. So it's a cool idea. Yeah, one to look into for the future. Probably looking to pull that. So look forward to that. OSRS Icicle says, can we get an advertising board outside player-owned portals to show who's hosting, or the option for servants to advertise for hosts outside of their player-owned house?
That's actually on the list of future polls already. Has been for a while. It's just never quite got to the top of the list of things that people want at the time.
It's one of those things that has like a longer amount of time to make and develop and test than it does, you know.
It does take quite a while to make a thing like that. We probably wouldn't do it with a servant idea, by the way, because if lots of people decide they all want their servant to stand there spamming in Yanil, that might be dreadful.
Is it Yenil? I
It
thought it was
can be.
Yenil.
Oh, I always say you kneel.
Oh. Damn.
Like you kneel on the floor
Yeah,
and at the prayer altar.
Right. FT Work
I just
says,
ignored that one.
new instance boss that doesn't give items back on death. Currently, temporary death mechanics have become permanent, and everybody just takes best in slot gear to bosses. This makes bosses a little riskier, as death would be more dangerous.
Well, it's not that unusual, to be honest. We've done pretty much that with the instanced KBD and the instanced Kraken boss. If we made one that was only accessible in that way, only accessible in instances, then that's quite likely how it might end up being.
Did it with Monkey Madness too, as well, right?
Got a lot of quests work like that.
Yeah.
I think for one-off quest bosses, it's a bit more reasonable.
Yeah.
In 2009, they changed it in other RuneScapes so that if you died in an instance, your items automatically fell at the place where you were before you entered the instance,
Yeah.
which made, of course, a whole lot of quests a lot safer straight off. We could, of course, try and copy that update like they got. On the other hand, I hadn't really felt the need to make all those quests lower risk,
Yeah.
and the topic don't come up a huge amount. We just have to watch out for it if we ever do make that change, because something they learned with Nomad, and then again with the QBD, is that if everybody's going into a dangerous place and their items are all falling outside it, their items all overwrite each other and disappear much faster.
And
So-
Draken.
You could keep on that, and then again, that list goes on.
Yeah,
a lot
that goes
longer.
about at least 10 more boss scenarios, but we won't talk about that.
But so there are issues that are not easy to solve doing that. But in terms of like a boss that's intentionally put in a place where you're going to lose all your items on death, it's difficult for us to sit and make a boss that's going to be really difficult, and we know you're just going to lose stuff going there. Obviously, you wouldn't take your best gear there, but do we really want to encourage you to not take your best gear to a boss? It's an awkward design.
Yeah.
That's
That's
why-
a good point.
That's partly why I like that some of the better gear, like Barrows, for example, consumes stuff while you're using it. So
Yep.
Even if you're going in there in your best gear and you don't lose it in there, you're spending money, and there's also resources to worry about. But that's why I like degradable combat kit.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat said Inferno. I think that might be a little too difficult.
Inferno will be
For that.
safe death.
I
like the
imagine the
fight here.
first 1,000 of you, actually, hopefully many more than that. Let's say first All of you run in your first try, you're gonna die.
And we're going to be a good item sink if we don't give them the stuff back on death.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, something to consider when we look
Maybe
at the
I'll
next boss
accidentally
we
leave
design.
a non-safe death bug in there for launch.
I'm sure that Mod Rock will find that.
If there is one, we now know it's intentional.
Speaking of Modrock, he is grabbing questions from the chat simply at RuneScape. Good luck. And grab any questions you can find. We'll see what we can answer. Moving on, we have Cohen, who has a suggestion saying increase the Curious Puncture chance per diary tier up to 1 out of 5. So right now I think it's 1 in 51.
Did you say curious puncture?
Curious
Oh,
Puncture.
that dagger thing.
I
Right.
think-
Is it Karis?
It's Karis. It's Karis.
Oh.
That's something else you didn't tap.
Yeah, I was
That
going to say.
was one of my miscellaneous ideas. So it was the idea of just making Karis a little bit better. So it could be used more, adding it, well, my design was putting it on the end of a spear so you could use the Crush, as cow fights are known to be weak against Crush. Oh god, that's a lot of questions. There's a lot of that.
But on top of that, like we could make this superior version, like more like the way the arc light works.
Yeah.
And so
That's
it's
the charge.
inherently is really good against Calphite.
I mean,
And it actually feels like it cuts through them
I
like butter.
don't like how the Keris is written in general anyway.
Ah.
It's like the way that the Keris works is unlike other. Like the Arclight, for example, is if you are fighting a demon, it is stronger against demons, right? Nice and simple. The Keris is if you are fighting a Calphite, not Keris, it has a 1 in 51 chance of being able to do a damage. And that's just, it's not consistent. It's clearly the person who developed that at the time didn't know how to make the Arclight, essentially, for Calphites. And so they went with, let's just have a 1 in 51 chance of doing damage.
Also, the 1 in 51 bit of it, most people would go with a rounder number than that
Yeah.
rather than, 51. And if you look at some of his other stuff, like Ava's, you find that there's a, what looks like it's aiming for a 10% chance of losing it, or 90% chance of keeping it. But he's actually gone with 90 out of 101 rather than, 91 out of 101 rather than 90%.
Do they use random ink instead of random?
Yes, that's exactly it. And I've never been quite sure whether the developer intended it like that or not. Obviously, that's what it is now, and we have no reason to change the chance. But it could be that he skimped on the training.
We have a question in the chat from Drake, who says, when will Ultimate Hardcore Iron Man come?
While
we
no
didn't
date is set
promise
for
it,
such
so-
a thing,
Yeah.
it's a popular enough request that if we were doing another mode update, that would very likely be the one to choose.
Yeah, I mean, having a hard time thinking of man modes now, so
Woman.
maybe it's the only one left.
Triggered.
But we haven't said we would do that, so it's not a guarantee.
If we do man mode, you'll never be able to complete recruitment drive.
Oh, yeah,
so.
it'll be impossible to do.
Okay. Moving on. Lotec says, can we get double death runes? Barely any deaths come into the game via rune crafting. Would also stabilize the price between deaths and natures.
I saw Mudwolf roll his eyes on cam.
It's just. Okay.
I saw a response from some guy on Reddit saying, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have voted yes for this, but now I would definitely vote yes for this. I don't know why that is, but...
What's the price of Death Runes versus Bloods?
Death runes, I want to say. I don't want to be an idiot on camera. I don't want to do that. I want to avoid that at all
you get
costs.
to-
Let's Google it.
Say
We
it.
could put it in a straw poll and see what this lot thinks. And I'm seeing a lot of yes, and I'm seeing a lot of no, and
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of PogChamp.
Let's talk requirements.
99
No.
crafting.
99 rune crafting for double death runes.
Here's the thing, though, right? The reason that death runes are expensive at the moment isn't just because they're being used frequently, but also because, and not as many are coming in, but because, like, nature runes have double income already, don't they? You have to try and think they're being used just as much as each other. It's just the income that comes in. So the second that we double death runes, what will that do to the price? I mean, the weird thing about RuneScape economics is that, like, if you say you're going to do something, it affects it as much as actually doing it.
The fact that we're talking about it on stream means they're already going
Oh yeah, they've
all over the
crashed.
place.
They've already crashed right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, the thing is, it's not like there's going to be double Death Runes in game. The majority of Death Runes are probably coming from
Yeah.
monster drops and not
Yeah.
rune
Well,
crafting.
players with 99
and players with
rune
rune crafting don't
There's not
really
many.
have 99
Yeah.
either. So
It's not going to be the fastest. It's not going to be the best moneymaker. So
It's odd. Like,
And if they were to start doing deaths, they'd stop doing natures, and then there'd be less.
and then natures might go up presumably as well. But
Maybe.
then
provides an alternative.
I like it. It's easy to say, oh, there's only, 3,000 people with 99 rune crafting now. What about in 5 years?
I do want to straw poll that.
I do as well.
It's a good discussion, actually.
Double deaths at
Of course,
99,
we
yes
can't
or
really
no?
read much of the chat at the moment, but
On a similar topic, I was reading, I don't know if you've got it on there, but there's a suggestion on Reddit for a new rune called the Wrath rune. Or
Oh,
name
yeah.
doesn't really
New
matter.
Catalyst rune.
I didn't see
But
that.
essentially, we would add surge spells, but instead of using Death and Blood, it would use this next tier up, the Wrath rune, crafted at like 96 rune crafting or something. And then there'd also be some new spells on the Lunar Spellbook and the other, and Necromancy too, which listed on the suggestion. I think that was really nice. I think that's a really nice way to add some extra content, that's normal rune crafting content, to that skill and give it more use at the high end.
I'm a fan of surge spells, personally.
Me too.
I think the normal spell book is extremely lacking once you get past like level 50. So,
Yeah.
Oh, meh.
so straw polled double death runes at 99 rune crafting. It's currently sitting at 72%.
You've let me down.
Of course, this is just a Twitch poll. We have no idea how that would reflect the actual game voting. Maybe they'd be higher, maybe they'd be lower. But I think that's enough support to say this is worth looking into.
We can look into the data as well, of how many death runes come in and where from. And if we have no concerns with it on the game economy, then I think definitely it's worth polling.
I wonder if anyone would ever train a cat again.
Yeah, dead content.
We find out 95% of the death runes come into the game from dead cats.
Okay.
They're not actually dead at the time, but I suppose they become so when the dwarves make them into stew as part of that trade that's going on.
I do like that idea. We should ask Modlotty. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. We should ask Modlotty where most of the death runes are currently coming in game from first. See where that is, and then act on them. I think that makes
And
sense.
how many people have 99 rune crafting that are doing it?
Yeah, that's true. Well, the reason that they aren't doing it is
There ain't many people with 99 rune crafting.
yeah.
Okay, moving on. Next question is from Gentle Tractor, who says, with the new Zaya quest passing, it would be a good time to look back at a few areas of gameplay in Kourend, and he has a couple suggestions. So first one is streamlining the process of making dynamite by making both volcanic sulfur and saltpeter stackable. Should I list all these first?
That's doable.
If we
Yeah.
do the saltpeter, then anyone who decides to go and say click on one of the saltpeter spawns down in Hesidius is going to be there forever, with their inventory filling up with 2 billion saltpeter.
They do move about.
Oh, this is true, but it'd be seriously much more AFKable than before.
Yeah,
that's
and for something that's already kind of, prone to botting,
Yeah,
I'm not looking to give the support team an even worse time trying to keep on top of that.
Standardize the favor you receive while delivering fish from barrels in Piscarilius, so it's no longer random.
Some of that favour could definitely be rebalanced.
The good thing is that I think he only made it random because the rate that he was told to aim for was, between integers. And since he couldn't really scale it without losing out, the solution he went with was to give you a chance of getting some favour each time. And if we just said it's all right to give a bit more favour from that, because it probably is, then there wouldn't be a need to do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Allow the tithe farming plants to be left-clicked, watered, and increase the number of grape seeds given per purchase in the reward shop.
I really like the left click of the tithe farm plan. It's silly that it's not. I mean, I understand why.
I'm sorry, I just made it like the rest of the farming skill.
No, that's the thing. I understand why. It's
But silly, yes.
No. Oh, never mind.
I'm just going to leave it here.
I
You
said
guys.
before that we're happy to add such options.
Oh, never mind. Sorry, Ash.
I'll save you. We've got one more.
Further,
Further,
we are willing to do that. It doesn't have to match the rest of the farming skill. They won't be silly.
further change the color of a depleted dense essence mine to be noticeably darker.
I think first pint's on me tonight, by the way, Ash.
Then it could be made more dark.
Yeah, we were a bit short of graphics time back in early 2016, but we can repaint it now.
Okay. I've got another one from the chat. Hitpoint says, rune crafting pouches sold by the bounty hunter shop. So immediate thought there is skillers who don't want to participate in bounty hunter or killing wilderness bosses to be able to buy those, well, I guess they could still get them the traditional way.
Well,
actually.
runecrafting pouches come mostly from either that mage gives you one or killing the creatures in the abyss, right? And I could see a skiller might not want to.
Why? I don't. It doesn't seem an appropriate spot. This is very, very much skiller content, and it would be placing it on the PvP store. I don't think it really marries very well.
Well,
I mean,
well-
there's PKs that kill runecrafters,
Yeah.
but they don't do it in Bounty Hunter.
If they don't want to kill the creatures to get the runecrafting pouches, they probably aren't going to want to kill other players to get the runecrafting pouches.
But they
Well,
can buy those now, can't they?
While I
That's the
agree
thing.
with your why in saying it doesn't really make sense, there are other things in that shop that aren't necessarily PKing related,
No,
such
that's
as
true.
the enchantment scrolls, etc. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting thought.
But they're not that hard to get from the
Pretty
creatures.
quick. Alan says, can the blasted ores from the blast mine have its disintegration timer removed or extended? There's only one convenient spot to train due to the close proximity between the bank, the mine, and the deposit sack.
If we extended the timer, it really changes the balancing of that content, because a lot of the way you play is to time your explosions correctly and absolutely maximize your efficiency when you're running between the two points, picking up the ores, depositing them, and so on.
So would we want to look at additional banks instead? Well, additional
So I think.
mapping changes.
I think that if we want to improve that front, yeah, that would be the way to do it.
Okay.
The deposit sacks, like over, those only. I think we'd need more of those.
That shouldn't be a problem.
A lot of crack the clue stuff today.
Well, they might have got more interested in it after April 1st.
Ah, yes, that was good.
I've been in their CC laughing at them today as well.
I totally missed that
Don't
in
be.
the weekly recap. Do you want to give them a quick rundown?
Oh, well, on Saturday, the 1st of April, then quite a lot of people who happen to have level 1 defence unexpectedly got a level up message saying, congratulations, you gained a defence level. But they hadn't. Happy 1st of April. And after that, we also meant that people just digging outside buildings, just randomly around the world, but not indoors, had a chance of finding what appeared to be the Helm of Rydwald. But it wasn't. But at least you got a Halloween mask.
I'm waiting for the Mythbuster stream in 2020 when we reveal that Crack the Clue isn't solvable.
You programmed it.
It's
We've been
Don't
working at it.
demotivate
We've
them. There are
been
people
working
trying,
at it for 5 years. And it is all a prank.
the ultimate clue is
No.
that the place to dig is found within the heart.
Great.
There is a place in game that is shaped like a heart.
There is.
But am I just trolling? Who knows? We'll
But
see.
it is solvable. I'm just kidding.
I am trolling, for the record, by the way. I'm obviously not going to have Matt come down and stab me on stream for announcing.
That's how management works, ain't it?
No.
Who's that? It's a more senior manager.
Oh no, God, this is even worse. He's here.
All right, another question. Galaxy says, could the magic secateurs effect work well in your inventory? This would make farming with a mud staff less tedious.
You mean because you have to click the thing and then click the other thing?
Well, if you're using the staff to cast the spell, and then you have to switch. There's like 2 clicks in there.
I think it's just for the boost, right? They
Yeah.
want
Yeah,
this one.
there's no other
A lot of
reason to
people
have
didn't
those
know you
things.
had to equip it.
Oh, really?
So there you
I
go.
think, yeah, I've been confirmed that for anyone who asks, but it wouldn't be too hard to change.
I wouldn't mind, even if we didn't change it, but give it a mez when you equip them to say, you have powered up with the power of the magic secateurs, and you now get better herb rates.
You know, I see that being the kind of message they ask us to get rid of again.
Somebody wants
yeah.
it to be an achievement reward.
We could make it so that if you click the thing, you haven't equipped them, but they're in your inventory, it tries to equip them for you before letting you waste your chances,
Possibly.
just so they don't forget.
I'd be curious to see this one in a straw poll, personally, because there was quite a mixed reaction there.
I was surprised at how mixed it was.
Yeah, so should you gain the benefits of having the magic secateurs equipped when farming if they're just in your inventory?
It's not while they've got a defense requirement or something.
It is just, I want to be able to wield my mud staff and not swap because I don't want to spend a second doing that.
I have no issue with them working in the inventory read.
Before
Yeah.
they ask us to cobble them onto the end of the mud staff, so that they
You combine it to the words.
Well, we're going to have that straw poll in the chat for you guys momentarily. In the meantime, we have another question from the chat. Underling says, will the fertile soil spell be buffed with a new compost or possibly new spell?
As of right now, it won't be. We had a discussion about this when we were talking about Ultra Compost and when we were going over it. And the fertile soil spell gives super compost on your, on your patch. There's nothing stopping, however, another lunar spell in the future being created, probably in spell order after this week's poll. That will do the same thing, but with Ultra at a higher level, for example. It'll probably take more nature runes and more astral runes, presumably. But yes, not as of now, but we imagine there'll be a different spell in the future that will do that.
How about a higher level spell, but it uses the compost directly from your bank, so that you still have to go and make it, and we
like
have
that.
that value of that being in game.
However, I quite like using more nature runes as well.
oh yes,
Yeah, that's true.
So
all of the above.
Yeah.
It's it would be good not to do it at the same time as launch, though. Otherwise, we end
Yeah.
up with a situation where we introduce a new way to make a new item and
Yeah.
make it redundant simultaneously.
Okay, we've got the results back from that straw poll, sitting at 70% yes, 30% no.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of just on that edge of, is that worth considering?
I think I think there's probably some opinion that why bother? It's not hard for players to wield it.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I mean, it is quite a small
Fair
change,
argument.
I think.
In code, it really is quite a small
Yeah.
change.
Should we say like one or two questions, then send you over?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, all right. Scene says, could the achievement diary interface be made better? Currently, 99% of players have them all highlighted yellow because of at least one task being done. It would be much better to use the space and display a colored E/MHE beside the location name.
There was a beautiful design submitted by a player for that.
Yeah, I really like that.
it's still in our backlog.
Yeah.
It would have taken a blinking long time to implement, by the way, given the way the achievement diary data is at our end, but we would have liked the feature.
I love the statistic you pulled too, 99% of all players.
But we could do it more easily just to display them, the yellows for the different difficulties. So we could have the sub difficulties underneath them and say, oh, your easy diary for Cramja's green, your medium one's green, but you haven't done the hard one yet. I think that is that's easier to implement.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could even show like 2 out of 13 tasks complete, 5 out of 16. I mean,
It would be nice to do that kind of thing with progress bars. If we can show it with numbers, we can probably show it with a bar charty type thing.
yeah,
Graphic, that's the word.
The reason I said not doing that is because that's where the heavy workload comes from.
that's true. Okay.
All right. Dominic says, raids were intended to be large-scale group PVM content. However, with the most recent change to how team points worked, large raid teams are simply not viable. Not a viable way to interact with the content. Will anything be changed to allow large-scale raids to be worth doing again?
Given that a lot of the... well, firstly, we didn't expect that players would forever be putting together huge raiding parties. We didn't think that was just likely that people would be able to get the groups together. So the smaller groups is not unreasonable, like your 4s, your 5s, even fewer.
Mm-hmm.
We did not think that it was realistic to expect you to get together 60, 70 people for every time you wanted to go raiding. That's just not really how old school players have ever really got together. So while on the other hand we weren't aiming for huge groups to be essential, we also didn't intend to make them impossible. I'm not convinced we actually did. I mean, a lot of the changes we made about 3 weeks ago now were more about making it not advantageous to have lots of people in the party at the start who then left the party after the raid began. And that's, again, not changing whether it's viable to go with a large party. That's just saying don't start off with a huge party and then have them all leave on you.
Yeah.
So let them stay in.
It's only problematic to large parties that die, frankly. Like, don't die would be the answer. But I know that's probably not what we want to hear. I mean, essentially, deaths weren't as punishing as they probably should have been, meaning that people could abuse the mechanic, so we had to change it. That's just kind of how it is.
A death should always have some kind of penalty to it. And if you happen to be a member of the party who never got any points, your death had no penalty. So, yeah, we've changed that. But if you were, gaining more points to support your party by doing activities within the dungeon, then maybe you wouldn't be in that situation so much.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mod West, would you like to head over? And while you get set up, we can maybe tackle another question real quick. Let's see here. The Kettler says, Old School is starting to face the same power creep problems that we saw with pre-EOC. I know the Old School team tries not to release best in slot gear too often, instead prefers to fill niche slots instead. Do you have any ideas to solve this problem into a more organic way?
There's a lot of different things we've done over the time, and that's including like the Kraken Whip, for example, where you use the previous one to make the next one, so we don't completely devalue that. Other things where we give it niche uses. So like in the Arclight example, it is good for demons, but you're still going to use your other weapons elsewhere, or things that just have good special attacks that you might switch to occasionally. I mean, it's hard, and because if we're making raids, it needs to have good rewards. It needs to have something that's worth going there for. And inherently, it's going to take the place of something else somewhere. And yeah, we know it's an issue. We know not everyone's a fan of it, but it's necessary to an extent. But it's something we want to work with you guys on because, yeah, we want to solve it.
The Arclight is a great example. Sorry. And in terms of devaluing old content, we've found other ways to say, well, this requires the old content to be used. Mm-hmm. And then we also have instances like the new Infernal Cape, which will be better than the Fire Cape, which, of course, doesn't get through to the game without a poll. So unless you guys like it, then that's all there is to it.
Whenever we've offered new best in slot stuff, it's generally done reasonably well in the poll. I mean, we're talking well over 50%. Not enough to have the level of support we'd require for the community to accept it, but there's certainly interest in letting the power creep up, but not enough at this time. Well, that's fine, we won't push it, but opinions do change over time, and could be that you'll feel differently in future. And if you don't, that's fine, we still won't do it.
There's even gaps when you look at things like Ellie, for example. Mm-hmm. It is the best shield for many things, but you don't always use it because people can't afford it. Yeah. The same with the Twisted Bow. It's a really powerful weapon. And yes, you want to go and use it if you want to do a really fast fight cave or you want to go and kill Commander Zilliana. But not everyone does because they haven't got that sort of money lying around. Mm.
I mean, we're at tier 75 with weapons. We're a distance to go before we hit the example of 92, really. Like, I don't necessarily think that I think we have plenty of room still in the tier 75 area, tier 70 area, filling niches, as we said. So,
or even more specific things like the request we had earlier in this stream about the Keras, where we could make it do its special puncture more often, or we could go with the more elaborate thing which involved bolting it on the end of a big stick. I suggested at one point that if it was bolted on the end of a really big stick, you might be able to kill the flying cow fight with it.
Ooh.
I like that.
Okay, well, hopefully that answers your question. Let's move on to Mod West then with our Fossil Island sneak peek of the week.
Cool. Right, so, what I've been working on recently is, if anyone can guess what it is.
I know.
We can guess.
Could you? Okay, so I've been working on Wyverns. So we've got skeletal Wyverns in the game. They are pretty basic, they're just skeletons. So what I've done is taken that sort of base of them and then created, given them some flesh, given them some skin, so they can stay together. And because of that, I can make them fly. So I want to get rid of the wise old man. And let's play some animations. So first of all, let's go with the idle animation. So this is just him flying on the spot. Yep, there we go. So yeah, just do a little turn around of that. And if you've noticed, skeletal Wyverns, they have slightly variations to them. So some of them have different horns, different tails. So I've got a few variations for Wyvern as well. So let's go to the second one. Yeah. So they change colour as well. But they keep the base green. And let's play a different animation as well. So let's go for the claw animation. So yeah, this is it, attacking with its claws. Cool. Do a little turnaround for you. So each one will have its own attack based on what it can do. And they'll also have just a general attack as well. I think the clawing will just be what all of them do. And they'll all be flying as well. So let's also get the last one up and put on the death animation. I quite like this one. So when you kill it, it sort of lands to the floor and then dies. Which is, I quite like that. It also fades out as well, but you can't really see it in our editor because it doesn't really handle opacity properly. And finally, let's do one more attack. So we got the tail attack. So this is designed for the wyvern with the longer tail. So as you can see, sort of hits the player with it rather nicely. I saw someone else for pet. These aren't going to be bosses, they're just sort of general slayer tasks, just like the normal skeletal wyverns are. So yeah, cool. And that's, have we got any more animations? Yeah, there's a few more animations to come, but they're still work in progress. So yeah, that's everything I've got to show for you this week. Thanks.
Woo! That looks so good.
Yeah,
Would you like to give a quick explanation for those asking what was that?
Oh, so yeah, in Fossil Island, a couple of the NPCs.
I mentioned the wyverns, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I think some people just haven't understood that they're from Fossil Island, which is soon to be
right.
pulled content to come
Yes.
in the
Cool, yeah.
future.
Yes, so they will be a part of Fossil Island. They are, I think, they have a Slayer requirement. I don't know if off the top of my head. I don't know if I want to
Yeah.
tell you anywhere.
It might change, yeah.
It might
It's up
change.
for debate still.
It will have drops that will be desirable. That's all I'm saying on that.
And polled.
And polled,
But
all
the-
polled.
The dev blog for Fossil Island will be sometime next week, and we'll tell you more about them there.
Yep. And
Fantastic.
eventually I'll be doing an art stream as well, going a bit more detail into the island.
Have
What
we,
was that?
Art stream.
Ah, yes, that'd be lovely.
have we leaked the date of that? Can we say that for sure?
Not yet, it's not been confirmed.
Okay. Soon.
It's
Look
not.
forward to that.
It's not level 73.
Okay.
There.
For those missing, what Modwise just said. First of all, are we going to see more Fossil Island next week as well?
Yeah. more
Okay.
Fossil Island.
So stay tuned to the Q&As for more Fossil Island sneak peeks. Look forward to the dev blog next week, and then the art stream in the near future. Very exciting stuff for the Fossil Island stuff. It's great. On this page, Delta says, the Achievement Diary Cape perk could do with a rework and is quite underwhelming. Instead of the current teleports, why not add the unlimited teleports from the individual Achievement Diary rewards to allow convenient place to use them?
Feelings?
Currently, it teleports to the masters, doesn't it?
Yeah, the masters.
Including the ones who used to be Karamji Diary Masters and aren't anymore. We left those on as retired Diary Masters for your convenience.
Those are some unique teleports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But none of them useful.
A few of them are probably a bit useless, like Varrock and Camelot.
I'm just thinking it's really strong having all of that on just one item.
I mean,
really strong.
We need to do a poll of some skill cape perks anyway. If we want to consider a change to them, that would be the place for it.
We did want to put together a poll of skill cape related things, and it's a cape of a sort, so we could address this at the same sort of time.
Question in the chat saying, what about making that cost gold for a gold sink? Oh, that's a different question, is it?
I can't quite. I think that's about Slayer points.
Just scrolled up. Okay.
We could answer it.
Sure. Well, what do we think of the idea? Do we think that was too overpowered then?
I think it's really strong to have on one item, personally.
Okay, that's fair. Could Slayer points be purchased after 99 Slayer has been achieved for a large amount of gold? This would help offer a gold sink into the game. There it is.
I don't really like that. I prefer Slayer points to continue coming from Slayer.
Agreed.
If you can get 200 mil Slayer just buying points to do the same task for hours, it sort of defeats the point of the skill.
It also suggests that what you wanted was to have probably a specific task that you could then go and grind on, because given how many task-only areas we add, that might be advantageous because you get to use them, and what you're getting in return might turn out to be worth more than you spent on this. Otherwise, why would you have bought it?
Yeah.
So we'd be cautious about that.
Okay, fair to say they agree. Jack says, can you make the Phoenix pet obtainable from normal fire making at a rate comparable to that of the Wintertod?
No.
Well, that's a straight answer. For what it's worth, we've generally found there's less support for pets in the skills where you can, buy a couple of billion of the ingredients and then just blitz through it really, really fast to get the pet. And that's what it would become if we did that.
I did see a really cool suggestion for the Herblore pet though after the stream last week. I agree that we still can do those kind of skills. However, it was like, can you have a newt but with no eyes because you're using his eyes for the potions? And I was like, oh, that's pretty grim. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's for all those frogs those toads with their legs that got ripped
Oh
off.
my
I know
God.
it says in the message, at least they'll grow back every time you do it. I've never really seen a kind of stumpy-legged toad yet, where it's halfway through it.
Someone called Peter.
Peter,
Every
Bible
stream
thump.
with this stuff, every stream. Galaxy says, can you make the marble gargoyle special attack more distinguishable? Sometimes you can barely see it before it hits you.
Can do. We can definitely improve that.
Yeah. Fire says, any plans on updating the Rangers Guild? It seems like dead content is very underutilized, except for the occasional medium clue scroll.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah, what had the player in mind, if anything?
Nothing in mind. I assume they'll hit us with some ideas for the next stream.
We're open to anything you guys would like to send in.
There's some reasonable content in there as well.
It's got the
That archery
It,
game.
it looks nice.
I think you
It's
just
got
get the
that.
tickets that can just be used in a generic shop for range equipment, right?
Yeah.
Well, imagine if those people up the towers, the ones who shoot at the middle, and it's really quite dangerous if you don't know what you're doing
yeah,
when
they
you got
killed
there.
me the first time I went in there.
Yeah, there was
I've
actually a
just got in
project
there
to
as well.
stick a warning screen on that ladder,
Yeah,
I think.
it was bad times.
Yeah, they could be more like some kind of wave attack thing.
That'd be cool.
That sounds cool.
Any further plans for a Zaya achievement diary?
I mean, the plan exists to the extent that we want to do it, but we can't really do it until we've got more of a complete continent. Otherwise, half the content on the continent won't be in the diary.
Yeah, because anything that would come out after the diary would obviously not be in the diary, so that would be a bit unfortunate.
Similarly, we can't apply rewards to any of the content coming out afterwards, unless we do it retroactively.
For that matter, given that half the continent consists of a city that's full of tasks, it was almost redundant to do a diary when we put that out.
But I want to develop a diary. I really want to do it and not release it full of bugs.
What would the item be? Oh, burn. That's savage. What item would you have for the diary? What are we missing? Are we missing any?
We're not really missing anything, which is the awkward point.
I think we used all the slots already, apart from the quiver.
There you go.
Quiver,
That's
there
what
you
you
go.
get. A quiver.
It would be
A
some
single,
quiver slots.
single current arrow.
A current arrow that returns to you.
Well, it's either that or we introduce a new slot like the fanny pack or something.
I actually like that. An arrow that it never fires, you always keep it, but it's like an arrow that's better than dragon or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
I was playing.
No, I think that's actually a reasonable idea. That is an arrow.
Do you value every single ammo in the entire game?
No.
Panic sell all of it.
No, a quiver.
It'd
A quiver
only
makes
one
sense.
ideas.
It'd only be one use, though, wouldn't it?
Needless
Never
to
get
say.
it back again.
All right, we've got other questions then. Ryan says, can we see a better interface for the quest, achievement, and Zaya favor tab? Currently, the icons move all over the place when you click on one.
All over the place.
Well, they swap between 3 locations if that's what he means, but
Oh, the 3 buttons that show the other 3 things you could click
Yeah,
on.
there was a suggestion to right-click the tab and then just have a drop-down of all 3.
Oh, I could do that. Drop downs are remarkably hard to do, but I hate our scripting language sometimes. But we could go that way.
Okay.
As it currently stands, the colour coding seemed like a fairly intuitive left-click only way of doing it and using the space quite efficiently. If the right-click, on the other hand, were on the stone button at the top,
Yep.
that might go better.
I think that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you wanted an actual drop-down.
No, just right-clicking that stone and then that would give you the drop-down.
Cool.
I like that.
Cool. Ed Hicks says, can the magic shortbow special attack be fixed? Currently, it ignores the effects of void range and ranging boosting prayers.
It is the case that almost all the special attacks have custom multipliers that do not stack with other bonuses that might be available to you. If we wanted to change that, which ain't too hard, we just have to make sure that none of the obscure special attacks suddenly turn out to be incredibly powerful as a result. Or we could just do it for that one and leave all the others alone.
I mean, even in the example of the magic shortbow, it's already a useful special attack.
Yeah.
If suddenly Rigor works with it, or even Eagle Eye, which most people would have, I imagine, that it's going to take up to another level. It's already useful. Would we just make it too powerful for PvP?
If we nerf void range, then yeah, let's do that. Unless we do that.
Do you think they'd accept us bundling those?
Sorry?
Do you think they'd accept us bundling those together?
No. I would. Okay. Guido says, can the carpets in the desert fly directly from, for example, user to Badabin camp without having to go to the Shantae Pass first?
There's a reason it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Because I'd have to script another one of those things where you're right and it moves manually to it.
Would
But
they mind if we replace that with something like the interface gnome gliders use?
I don't mind that.
I don't mind.
I mean, we wouldn't make it take us long. It would make the carpet travel faster, and run energy would not be, lagged like it currently is for it. So we could offer that instead, if they didn't mind it being faster.
Part of me does love that old.
Yeah, an option would be
Sit on
nice.
the carpet there.
Looks kind of funny though.
It does look funny, and the graphics required for that interface would not be straight.
I could see this being one of the things they really like hang on to for nostalgia purposes.
Can we straw poll it? See if they would.
I'm seeing a lot of no easyscape.
Just interested.
I love the carpet ride. Okay.
Yeah,
It has
ride
the
that
music
ride.
track as well, wasn't it? Like a unique one.
It
It's pretty
does. Yeah. Quite a nice one.
It'd be weird if you ran there and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
If we did add it, I would like to keep in the old one as well, so you have the option
Okay.
to take the scenic route or just.
In that
straight
case,
there.
we would not be offering the alternative direct routes unless you feel
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah,
scripting
yeah,
it.
yeah. Obviously, those ones.
Okay, we'll get that straw poll in the chat for you guys momentarily.
For what it's worth, when the guy was making that all those years ago in the first place, he wanted to make sure that you wouldn't be attacked by creatures in the desert, like the alligators and such, like as you flew over. So what he did was he mapped down red dragons across the entire desert and let you ride the magic carpet over all that, and figured that if the red dragons didn't attack you, his code probably worked. And then we were very careful not to upload them.
I love how his thought
What a
process
great way of
wasn't,
testing.
why doesn't it just take you from point A to B like all other travel methods? He went, I'll do it like that.
Because it was cool.
No,
Like,
it
you're
is
actually
cool.
riding the
Hey,
carpet.
I'm not disagreeing it's not cool. I'm just saying that's pretty funny.
It's not faster than running though, is it? Or is it?
It's the same speed, I think, actually.
Yeah.
You just get to AFK.
And you don't take desert heat.
Can you move faster than running in our game? Is it possible?
If we let you, then you'd hit the edge of the loaded map a lot too quickly for it to load more, so it would not work out too well. It's trying to move you 2 or 3, 3 tiles in some cycles occasionally, but it doesn't dare do it too often. So it's pretty much about the same as running.
We got the results from that straw poll as kind of predicted.
Yeah.
55% yes, 45% no. There you go, they stayed, don't worry. Moving on, Joth said, give each God Wars boss a 1 in 1,000 drop that lets you store kill count for the respective boss.
We already have the ecumenical keys. So we've already got a solution there if you don't want to sit and get kill count. That you can go to the God Wars Wilderness Dungeon, get some of those keys. But I don't see it necessary to add an extra way that you have to get really lucky to get in the first place and then have an advantage over others to get in God Wars.
When something's unique to the wilderness, I'm not a fan of making it not be unique to the wilderness anymore, because uses for the wilderness are generally a good thing.
How satisfying is it answering a question, saying yes or no, then looking at the Twitch chat to find out they've all agreed? We have like a 3-second delay. You're taking a gamble.
We should stream with a delay and see what happens.
Oh, risky.
That's risky, yeah. Joe says, thoughts on adding a redwood shortbow and longbow at 90 and 95 fletching?
Didn't you make a picture of that?
Yeah, I did. I've done a lot of these things, haven't I? Yeah, so I had an idea where you take a redwood log and craft it into a bow, but you'd string it using a Kraken tentacle, by like cut it up into sinews.
Sorry, you always laugh. Sorry.
Anyway, it was just an idea. I wasn't really too. It doesn't fit thematically, and I just sort of something I just came up with.
It's so his reasoning was more better fleshing experience compared to
Oh,
darts.
So he doesn't
However,
want the bow at all.
you really have to think about where
He wants to Fletch and Alkit.
right. You need to think: is
I think
this
there's
thing
plenty
going to
of
be
things
better
you
than the
can-
magic short bow? If
Yeah.
yes,
That'd
how
be the
much
way.
Darts
better
is pretty
would
fast
that
already,
pass a
though.
poll?
Does it need to be faster?
What is? Sorry.
The fletching darts.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking. Don't worry.
I want to have a redwood bow. It's whether it fits into the ranging skill. There's so many other weapons on that skill that you can choose to use. Blowpipe, other bows, crossbows.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Especially if the main interest in this is not for the bow at all, but for the fact that you, having made it, you can alk it. It's not the best reason to add a bow.
You fletch the redwood log and it disintegrates to dust. You get experience, however, at the end.
On the other hand, uses for redwood logs, if we introduced a new kind of plank for construction in your house,
Ooh, he said it.
that would be nice.
Ooh,
I like that.
Yeah, same.
Nice, tasty construction expansion.
My bow was more like a solution to Kraken tentacles coming into the game, and
you need one of those.
But
It's just become a meme, unfortunately.
We need to do it without it being on a stream. That's the way we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do it by polling it without anybody knowing.
We just tie the drop rate of Kraken Tentacle to the GE price. So if the GE price is low, the Kraken Tentacle is incredibly rare. If the GE price is high, it's more common. I mean, that is an interesting way to approach something.
That's true, actually.
It's something we've
There's
not
no
done
doubt it's
before.
interesting.
How do people actually think about that idea and if it worked like that? So we could say, we want this thing to be 2 mil, and we make the drop rate try and do it.
I'd be interested to see what would happen if the players decided to manipulate the GE price.
That's true.
Well,
Somebody in the chat right now has like 1 million Krakens. He's like, do that, do it, do that idea right now.
I mean, it might be a lot harder to try and apply it to something that was already in the game, where people can buy hundreds and thousands of them for however much each.
Well, for that matter.
But I don't think it's that unreasonable an idea.
Well, at one point, it became apparent we could have made the resource rewards from raids scale themselves based on the GE price of those items. And we chose not to do it because that's just asking for players to invent a positive feedback loop.
yeah.
All right. Let's see if we can get through a couple more questions here. Let's grab.
Remember that question I prodded you about earlier?
Yeah, I'm trying to find which one. Oh, here it is. All right. Can you clarify any confusion with rearranging the spellbook question?
Essentially, the aim is the interface doesn't have to change if you want to keep the current layout. We would try and not add any buttons onto it as well. So you could, if you don't want to participate in rearranging your spellbook or your prayer book, you can click on the interface. You see the buttons exactly as they are now. We could add an edit mode, like where the quick prayer button is, for example, or right-click the tab itself to open edit mode, where you could just drag them around, reorder them, that for example, and then you save it, and that's it. So otherwise, it looks identical. And I said the B word.
You said the book word. It's really important just to point out, because so many people have been talking about it on Reddit and on Twitter, and like all the social streams have just been talking about how, you know, the only excuse I've ever seen as to why people don't want it changed, or the main excuse is like, I like it how it is, which to me, and also PvP, but I like it how it is not really a great excuse, because we're going to be changing that if it fails anyway, right?
Yep. Well, it depends whether they talk about as it is in terms of the appearance of the interface or the exact ordering of the spells.
Yeah.
If they want the exact ordering of the spells to stay right as it is, with Geomancy at the bottom out of order and all the other new things we've added, then what they'd probably want to do is vote yes to this.
Yes.
And then once the update comes out, rearrange it so that this is the order they've got. If, on the other hand, they really, really don't want to see another button, well, we'd have kept the button pretty surreptitious anyway, because we don't like changing the appearance of the game unnecessarily. But if they really don't want there to be another button anywhere, fair play to them, that's just a surprising reason.
And how long do they have to vote on this poll?
I think we said we'd leave it open till Monday.
Okay, there you go. That being said, guys, that is going to conclude our stream. We've got plenty of questions to save for the next stream. And we look forward to more Fossil Island sneak peeks. Okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi. Fossil Island
I thought
will
Ash
be.
was going to say something. Nope.
Why is this room so full of people?
There's a lot of people here
Figure
today.
it out.
Here we go.
Just to reiterate, the Fossil Island dev blog will be out sometime next week.
Yep.
Prepare for that. The Wyverns that Mod West showed will be in there, and there's a lot more cool content as well. I'm liking some of the stuff you've have been designing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be great.
Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.